I think I'm just gonna go into it. So hip hop has always had an issue with age, right? The bridge between the younger and the older generations is kind of like held by like glue and string, it seems like. So you have like the young generation that feels like it's a young man's game, and they have, the innovation and the creativity and the resources and the ability to like take hip hop to just this unheralded heights. We're seeing hip hop exist in ways that we've never seen. On the flip though, this is hip hop's 50th birthday, and the older generations would, number one, say that the new generation, would not have these current opportunities if it wasn't for the previous generation, and the work that they put in and the road that they paved. And also the older generations would say, y'all's music is trash. And y'all got to step this up. So there was a clip that went viral with Danny Brown talking about young rap, new rap. And I kind of want to, get into that bag and talk about that. So give me, wait, what, hold on. Where are we at? Nope, that ain't it. There it is. All right, let's work. I want to show y'all this clip real quick.
I want to say something to the young niggas, man, because they always getting upset. And they always thinking like the older niggas is hating on them. It's not that the older niggas are hating on y'all. It's just, we just got to recognize quality.
Right.
Just because it's new doesn't mean it's better. Because if that was the case, y'all niggas would be wearing LeBrons. I see all y'all niggas wear Jordans.
For sure. You got a point.
Why y'all wearing Jordans? If it was all about the new is the fly. And guess what? The LeBrons, they done created new technology.
Right.
You ain't gonna spray your ankles
They
in
just
them.
ain't hitting like them Jordans though, man.
And guess what? The new rap don't hit like the old rap. The same way. Nobody's gonna make a better rap album out of y'all niggas than Cuban Links. Y'all gotta make better rap albums than the rap albums that existed to talk y'all shit. Y'all ain't did it. Look, my headphones falling off.
So that went viral a couple weeks ago. And then today we got news that Billboard reported that there were no hip hop music has hit number one this year. So it's like, yo, why is that? I want to break down that video, and I kind of want to get into a bag and then transition into like, what we're actually talking about tonight. So first of all, I gotta say this. The LeBron comparison is bad. The LeBron comparison does not work for the argument. And I saw people was like, yo, the LeBron, that was... No. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, the LeBrons were never a culture-defining shoe like Jordans were. You know what I'm saying? Like we just saw, they just put out a movie about Jordan's deal with Nike. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing that with LeBron's. LeBron is working on his narrative for The Last Dance, and his shoes are not going to be a part of that narrative the way that Jordan's were a part of The Last Dance, the 30 for 30. It's just not going to happen. Like, there was a peak. Like, Cass was wearing, like, LeBron, like the OGs, like the ones, but really the peak was, like, the 8s to, like, the 10s, I would say. 8s and 9s classic. 10s had some joints. I personally like the 11s, the King's Pride, like my favorite LeBron period. After that, it was over. So that was like a little 3-year run. It was over after that. Whereas Jordans, like to this day, 1 through 14 go crazy, right? And then you even got people who love some of the later models, the 23s, the 20s, the 19s, 17s. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a long run. I think if you wanted to make that comparison, I think the correct comparison would be Yeezys. Also, hey, y'all, before I start, don't forget to like this video. Please like this video. Yeah, all the YouTube stuff, it'll just make it more. Yeah, like this video, please. I think the best generation or the best correlation would be Yeezys, right? Like Yeezys have basketball shoes, runners with 350s and 700s and boots and slides, foam runners. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to talk innovation, like the Kanye West shoe is that for this generation, 100%. Also, LeBron never like put himself on a pedestal with Jordan with his sneaker. He was never like, yo, I want a shoe that is as iconic as the Jordan. Nobody, he never said that. Kanye made a dang on song, Yeezy, 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 just jumped over, you know what I'm saying? Like he put it out there. He wanted to make a shoe that was iconic and classic. He said he wanted the 350 to be his version of the Air Force One, right? And just innovation, just how the shoes look. Like, look at a pair of 450s. I wish all my stuff is, my Yeezys are all over the place. But like, look at a pair of 450s. Look at a pair of 350s the first time you saw those, right? Like, nobody was, like, that was unlike anything we had ever seen. Like, bronze was just like a dope basketball shoe, right? Like, that's it. So, you know, and Bron never took over Jordans as the shoe. Where there's a period where like, yo, Adidas was on Nike's helmet. Like, folks weren't really wearing Jordans like that for a very brief period. There was never a point when LeBron's was popping that like Cass was also wearing Jordans. That was never the case. Even now, like, look at everything that Kanye has done this year to you know, ruin his witness, right? They still had to sell his shoes. And they still sold out immediately. Had a whole day of selling stuff through Adidas and sold out like in seconds. Like, I ain't even try. You know what I'm saying? I saw a lot of people hit, but I also saw a lot of people like miss and not get the shoes that they wanted. So, you know, I think the other thing that he said, so he says like, so Danny also said, well, the old rap don't hit like the new rap. And that's a little complicated. I think that's twofold, right? Because on one hand, it's amazing that like hip hop is a culture of the youth. It is the voice of the youth. We rebel against the system, and hip hop is one of the mediums that we do that. And how we dress and how we talk, the language, like all of that. But then like when you get older, the rebels become the gatekeepers, right? And that's so crazy to me. Like you become like, get off my lawn. You become Stanley, right? And then you begin to like make all these rules up and say what is allowed and what isn't allowed, and you know what's hip hop and what's not hip hop and all that stuff, man. Like, listen. Let me tell you something. If a kid tells me that NBA YoungBoy is his GOAT, I can't be mad at that, right? He is living with YoungBoy and Dirk and Baby and all these other, like these young guys, right? Like they are growing up with their music. Like they are making the soundtrack to an entire generation. Not my generation, right? So I can't sit up there and say they're wrong, because on the same token, like, yo, my dad hated No Limit. Anytime I bought a No Limit CD and I wanted to play it in the car, he would say, absolutely not. My dad didn't like Mobb Deep. He didn't like East Coast hip hop. My dad was a West Coast dude. Why? Because he was a P-Funk guy when he was younger. So he loved Parliament, Funkadelic, Bootsy Collins, right? And he would always say like the West Coast, like they're actually rapping over music. I love the fact that they're rapping over music, instrumentation that wasn't, you know, as prevalent in Southern and East Coast hip hop for the most part. You know what I'm saying? But that's his experience. That's his perspective. Just like I like what I like. I love samples. I love drums a certain way. I love certain tempos, right? And you know, you can't tell me that Jay-Z is one of the greatest rappers. Jay-Z isn't one of the greatest rappers ever. You can't tell me that. But it's an entire generation of people who know him as like Beyonce's husband. Or there's an entire generation that thinks Wayne is old. Or there's an entire generation that like, you know, Nas is like, this is the first time they're hearing Nas for the first time. Like, man, last year I put my son on the Illmatic. He didn't like Illmatic. He didn't like it. He grew to like appreciate it, he'll tell you, but like he went on it. And I'm not mad at that because that wasn't his experience. He wasn't around in 1994 when that came out. He didn't experience his life with that. He's listening to it in hindsight. The same way we recently reviewed De La Soul's discography. And there were certain songs or certain music from that era that I didn't hear. I didn't grow up with. So it didn't connect with me the same way that it may connect with someone who was a teenager in their 20s when I was popping, right? So it's all subjective. And the funny part is like, yo, it's not a thing where your kids, it's not a thing, I can only speak for my kids, but it's not a thing where like my kids don't know. Like my kids heard the classics. They sat in my back seat, so they heard everything. They got the education, they got the knowledge, but when they got these phones and they were able to explore and develop their own musical palette, YouTube and streaming services, and before TikTok, it was Musical.ly. My daughter was on TikTok years ago, right? And so when they develop their own music palette, like that's their own music palette, right? So we can't sit up here and say, well, the old rap don't hit like the new rap, because for some people, they look at, Travis Scott's Rodeo like it's the pinnacle of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? They looking at Uzi's Love Is Rage is like this is it. This is the greatest thing ever. There's a Young Boy album. There's a Baby album that people just think they compare it. They treat it the same way we treated as Dark and Hell Is Hot in 1998. And we can't be mad at that. But on the other hand, when I take off my 90s and 2000s bias hip hop hat and I listen to new music objectively, he's right. He's right. To me, it don't hit the new rap don't hit like the old rap, and here's why. To me, I think the barometer of creativity, I don't think you can make something terrible now. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that I can have a whole studio on my phone, right? I mean, like record, mix, master. I can go on YouTube and get beats. Apple comes with GarageBand that has preset sounds that have been used to make smash #1 worldwide hit records. That was not the case when I was coming up. Yo, so let me tell y'all, like, when I was coming up, I had to learn equipment. Back in my day, let me get in my bag. I had to learn equipment. Like, my first studio was on a Windows 98 computer. I used like Cool Edit 2.0. Right? I had to like pirate the software. I got a microphone from Radio Shack. I couldn't afford a tripod, so I got an ironing board and stacked boxes on top of it and then put the mic there. I didn't have a pop filter. I was recording I had to learn. And then beats. I had to hope and pray that I could either find somebody who was talented and could actually produce, or I had to go to like SoundClick or mp3.com and hope and pray that somebody made a beat that was dope enough for me to rap over. Otherwise, I was on trash. Then I had to learn how to rap. Hold on, let me tell y'all. I'll pull this up. Listen, man, I'm in my bag. I'm in my bag. This was the rap gauntlet that I had to go through. First, I had to be good. So I used to like print out lyrics, and I used to print out Cannabis lyrics and like study his rhyme patterns, like literally read them. I would take their verses and I would like rewrite them and restructure them. Like, okay, well, if I wouldn't say this, but I would say it this way. And that's how I learned to get my voice early as a writer, as a rapper. I'm 14, 15 years old doing this. So then I had to be good. Then I had to rap for like my family, like my parents weren't really on it. Like it's whatever. But like I had to rap for my sister. My sister had to tell me that I was good. Then I had to rap for the homies. And then the homies had to tell me that I was good. Then I had to rap at school and battle. And then I had to like beat, it wasn't 80,000 rappers the way it is now. It was like 8. I had to battle all of them and beat them and be the guy at my school. Then when I would go out into the community, I would go to like house parties and we would play. Either we would do like ciphers where other people in the city would come out. I had to like destroy the cipher there. Then we would play music at the party that we had did that was terribly mixed and terribly mastered. But my friends, because I gained that confidence from my community, from my friend groups, like they were like, no, play this at the party. Our friend is good. And then we would put out a mixtape. Then we would put out a song. Nowadays, they'll tell you, they'll say, oh, Spotify doesn't allow but so many, or there's so many songs that are uploaded on Spotify every day and they never get played, they never get streamed. Well, that's because you can wake up on Monday and you can say, I want to put out a song this week. And you've never written anything in your life, and you get a studio, you record on your phone, you download a beat off BeatStars for $20, you get it mixed for another $10. You ain't even got to mix it. You can just put it, you can upload a video, you can set your camera down, put it on TikTok, and then you can upload it to DistroKid, and it's available everywhere on Friday. Anybody could just stumble on your music and listen to it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no barometer, like there's no community to like say, you're good, keep doing this, or don't do it. That doesn't exist to the degree that it existed. Because if there is a community that exists, if I say, yo, I don't want to rap no more. You know what I'm saying? Like if I say I don't want to rap, or if I say I'm rapping and my friends say, nah, you shouldn't rap no more. Like I can say, nah, I'm rapping. I'm going to do what I want to do. I do what I want. I do what I want, right? Anybody can say that. And I can just do what but like back then, after a while, it was like, oh yeah, this isn't getting any traction. You can go viral just by trolling and not being good. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't as much as the case back then. Like not as much. Of course it happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's complicated, as most things are. It's not just a thing where like, yo, you ain't gonna make nothing as good as Cuban Links. Like, listen, that's how people felt about Paid in Full in 88. That's what people felt about It Takes a Nation of Millions. In the next 20 years, people aren't gonna reference Wu-Tang. People aren't gonna reference Reasonable Doubt as one of the greatest albums ever. They're not. Because we're going to get old and we're going to get phased out, and other people are going to be able to tell the story from their perspective. And I'm watching it happen right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching it happen. People people will see hip hop or see the culture from their perspective, and they're able to tell the story because they're in position to do so. And we just got to go with it. I'm in the theater watching the NWA movie. I'm like, this is wrong. This isn't what happened. But the people are able to tell the story from their perspective. I'm watching documentaries on stuff and I'm like, that's not what happened. I'm listening to the Blog Era podcast, and they're going over like all the Blog Era stuff from like 2005 to like 2013, 14. I'm like, that's not how, for the most part, they're right. But there's stuff where I'm like, nah, you missed that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that they missed. So I don't know, man. It's with most things, it's complicated. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Like, do y'all think the new rap is hitting like the old rap? Are you happy with the current state of music? Are you surprised that Billboard isn't hitting? And Doc and I will go into that on the next CRS, because I'm not even gonna get into that. That's a whole other bag. But are you surprised that there are no number one songs on Billboard? Do you think that like rap gauntlets need to come back and people need to start rapping for their community before they go out in public? Like, what do y'all think? I would love to know. I would love to know. It says, is it a case of the floor being raised by tech? So the average is more often than the mode of art. Yep, I would agree. I absolutely think the floor is raised. Cause when something was whack, bro, you knew it was just trash. You knew like, yo, this is bad. Like, this is not good. You shouldn't do this, right? Whereas now, because tech has raised the standard, to your point, it's easier to just like be good enough. Like, okay, those, sometimes it was whack because the drums were bad or the sounds weren't right. That stuff is stock now. That stuff is easy to access now. The rapping isn't at a high level to me the way that it was. Like when I hear people who say, oh yeah, that person can rap, like they're really lyrical, I don't really hear it. For the most part, I'll be like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm actively listening to like older stuff. I have all mad old mixtapes in my iTunes. So I'm always listening to old stuff, and some of the old stuff didn't age well either. It didn't. So I'm trying to like say this as open-minded and that's the word I'm looking for. Not just open-minded, but like just self-aware as possible. So I'm not like totally biased, but self-aware of my bias that it exists.